Greetings, everybody. Just a heads up, this episode was what we like to call haunted, because with the night we were recording it, I was having catastrophic internet failure and lots of restarts. None of that you will really pick up on here due to the magic of editing, but at some point we completely lost the second half of the show, which was weird trivia, a championship round, no less, and us talking about Lyle's album. Fortunately, speaking of Lyle, he has been faithfully running a backup this entire time, so we got a backup of everything we lost. It was a little distorted, so I put some effects on it, some filters, and it sounds pretty darn listenable. Actually, I think I'm the only one that sounds a little wonky. Everyone else sounds about like they normally do. So the only reason I'm rambling is that explains the rapid change in audio about halfway through. Well, as soon as we start playing Weird Triv. Anywho, that's all for now. Enjoy the show. Back next week, 9/11. Intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off. Yeah, over here we are finally at least rounding off. Our numbers are rounding off. They're not quite falling, but they've stopped climbing for the first time in 2 months. That's worth celebrating, unless it's a stair step to get to another climb, which it could be. But I think we have, I think we might have turned a big corner with this last vax push.
You think so?
I think the mandates did what they needed to do, and I'm hoping that we don't have to keep putting them out there, because every time they put them out there, I think that we risk alienating more people that otherwise are kind of going along with this thing. It's like even supporters of the vax can only be pushed so far, you know. And I'm hoping that we're close to where we at least have enough people vaxxed that we won't have to keep doing mandates. But it's hard to gauge.
Can I vent about this for just 1 second?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, man. So I can't recall if I shared with you that I can't recall if I shared on the podcast last time that I had to go get a COVID test and stuff. I think I did. So the bar that stemmed from decided after that incident where all of their employees were exposed to one employee that got COVID that they were going to go vax only. So proof of vaccination card to enter bar, which some places in Seattle are doing. So they implemented that and it went really shitty. We just had a bunch of blowback. Obviously, even people that are not anti-vax had problems with it. It was weird. I was surprised, frankly.
Well, like I was saying, I think that the more mandates that pop up, the more things we're requesting of people, the fewer people will go along with it. In the grand scheme of things, I think that. And, you know, here's where I fall on this issue, because I've been pretty supportive of going along with the vaccines. And, you know, and I know that even on this podcast, I at one point said, it's like, I'm not going to whip out my fucking vax card and show it to the door person at Wally's. And yet I will, because if I want to go to a place, you know, they're not making me do it to get potatoes, right? They're not making me do it to get any kind of health care or any kind of
entertainment and privilege stuff.
It's just fluffy stuff for the most part, and I can look at that all kinds of ways, but the way that I have ultimately chosen to look at it is I want this venue to survive. I want this place to be around. I want these people to continue doing what they love to do, whether that's the performing arts center and theater, or a shitty little dive bar that plays good classic rock. You know, our communities are dying, and so I want to see those continue to stay open. And if this is the way to do it, then this is the way to fucking do it. And I think it's I don't know about the bar that you were talking about, Chris, but here, a lot of what I'm seeing is you can either show them your Vax ID or you can show them a negative test within the last 72 hours. To me, that's pretty fucking fair, because that's not even a mandate showing that you have to be vaccinated to get into the KISS concert. You can show that, you tested negative. You still got to wear a mask. That's in this state. I mean, that's a mandate coming from the top. So, but they're giving you an option. And for the places that aren't giving options, again, it goes back to this. Do you want these places to be around when all of this is over or not? We have to start thinking about, things that have nothing to do with COVID in a funny way, because a lot of people still don't buy it. They still don't buy that it's a big deal. And they still don't buy that it could really affect them the way that maybe they've just not really been paying attention to, or whatever. But at the very least, can't you see that a lot of these places are really struggling to stay open? And if you absolutely will not get vaccinated, and we've talked about it 6 ways from Sunday, there are plenty of reasons for people to not want it, and plenty of reasons for people to not. Some people are advised by their doctors to not get the vaccine. So that has to be taken into consideration as well. That's why I really like the alternative option here, which is, okay, but go get tested. And you don't even have to, you don't have to do the drive-through. You don't have to make an appointment. You can go and get, I think Walgreens has them. There's a couple places that have these now. They're pretty accurate, where you take it home and it's like a pregnancy test. You find out right away. And most places, from what I'm seeing, accept that. I could be wrong, but I think most places are accepting those home results.
There's a girl I'm friends with that I really like this person. I'm not super close with them, but I run into them in the wild all the time. Really beautiful girl that is just super fun. And she is anti-vax, but doesn't really elaborate why. She's just not into it. Mm-hmm. And is constantly posting stories about having to fucking go get COVID tests to go to concerts and shit. Like, so I've seen her in the parking lots with her BFFs doing this, and I'm like, I kind of jab her a little bit, and I feel bad. I've got to stop doing that.
That's the only jab she'll take, apparently.
Don't give her another jab. No.
Yeah, that might not be true at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's just like I'm getting so bent out of shape about this, and it's to the point where I got to just back off and be like, you know what? I can't change anyone's mind. There's nothing I could say.
Yeah, you're right. I think at this point, that's fair. Earlier on, I think it was worth fighting over, at least talking about. At this point, it's almost like dealing with flat earthers. What you're just pissing in the wind. They've had access to all the information that we've had access to, and they've made up their mind. And at some point, you just got to walk away and say, there's nothing I can do about it, and move on with your life. And I think enough people have done that to where, at least for the time being, here in Washington, central Washington, we are seeing numbers start to slow and maybe even stall a little. And I'll be happy when I see them coming down, but we shall see. I'll be happy when we don't have to talk about it anymore, to be quite frank. Go ahead, Lyle.
On the other side of that, though, too, like it's a holy grail of a vaccine. You know what I mean? It's like you could still get the vaccine and still get sick. It's more of your common practice on, wearing a mask anyway, I think.
Well,
you should definitely be wearing your masks, whether you're And we talked about that. Our governor said they wanted to let us take the masks off as an incentive to get the vaccine, but now we know more about the vaccine. But you're looking at the numbers in the hospital, and almost everybody who is dying from COVID right now is unvaccinated. That's hard to ignore. The vaccine may not behave the way a lot of people thought it would, but it's doing what a vaccine is supposed to do.
Right.
There are kind of two camps of anti-vax here. There are a lot of people I know who are not anti-vax in general, but they have bought into or they just don't feel right about what they've read or what they feel. They don't feel right about what they feel concerning this particular vaccine. And I think there's some things there worth understanding. You know, look, I don't know. I'm not in a position to tell people what to do with their body any more than I think most of us are. I just would like to have seen, like I said, going all the way back to the beginning of this thing, and I hate to beat a dead horse, I just would like to have seen a lot more of the less invasive tactics that we were being asked, in some cases semi-forced to do, being done. And I think we'd still be in a better place off without having so many people needing to get vaccinated. But for me, the end of the story for now, until we start seeing people, the one I read more than anything, amazingly, is that in a few years, us vaccinated folk are actually going to melt. We're going to liquefy. Until that happens, I'm looking at what's happening right now, which is the overwhelming majority of the people getting super sick and dying. It's 100% right now here in our local hospital. It's 100%. Everybody that has died since this Delta variant popped up has been unvaccinated. That's hard. That's hard to ignore.
1 in 500 Americans have died from COVID. 1 in 500.
1 in 500. Is that right? Wow.
It's 100% accurate.
Yeah. Well, you guys keen on what's going on with like concerts and stuff. The Gorge just had a Base Canyon go through there, and I've seen some of the pictures, and there's nobody that's wearing a mask.
I know. No. Well, there was when was that? Do you know?
It was recent. It was within the last 2-3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I think that was post-mandate. Yeah, it's true. And, you know, again, this goes back to so many things. How do you police it, and who polices it? You know, we all know the people that are working at the fucking Gorge, or any other venue for that matter, as quote-unquote security. And, you know, they're just dudes. They're just women hanging out. They're just peeps. And Jesus Christ, when there's 100 of you and 23,000 of them, ultimately, I would be surprised if company policy wasn't just, let them go. What are you going to do?
I regulate security at the Gorge, something like security up on Mission Ridge. You know, like they're all skiers and snowboarders, and they're just like, yeah, man, we're here for the season, bro. And that's how a lot of people are. Yeah. I know a lot of people that used to work down at the Gorge for season, because that's how they rent them out. They're security for the season, and you sit there for 3 or 4 months. And that's what you do, is security, you know, throughout the place. But the Gorge is a different environment from a lot of people. When you think about going to a concert, you know, it's like it's an open venue. So you got that on your side, you know, for not catching COVID. But like it's Well, that's the thing. I'm confused. We've heard so many things at this point, but so they went back. Our governor came out and said you need to mask. But at first, that was just indoors, because then he came out and said, hey, let's just put the masks on even if you're outdoors with these larger events. King County just came out and said any event, indoor or outdoor, that's bigger than 500 needs to require proof of vac or a test. So it's changing so rapidly. So it could be that could you still catch it from the guy that just sneezed right next to you? We all know how close you are in any big venue. Sure, but I'll always take my chances outside. And I think the numbers and the studies and what contact tracing we have done show that indoor venues and those kinds of places are higher in terms of spread. Sunlight killed it, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're out there in the broad daylight and you don't inhale someone's sneeze, you're probably doing all right, right? Like even there was a blow up at that big redneck watershed. And, you know, I think, not to pigeonhole people, but I think it's a fair pigeonhole to assume that the bulk of those people weren't vaccinated, maybe. And a lot of COVID deniers are from that political camp, supporters of that music. Maybe this is unfair to some degree, but...
Can we hear a little country, a little Ron country?
Well, it's Jesus Christ and a nice Coors Light. A COVID sneeze upon your ear. But what I was going to say is that we did have some known cases, but I mean, it was like what, a couple hundred, which is not good. And you know that they spread them to a handful of people too. But out of 20-some thousand folks, I don't know. I was expecting it to be quite a bit higher, if I'm being honest. And I think outside has a big part to do with that. And it was when it was still blazing fucking hot too. Jesus, the heat wave around here. Thank God it's finally going away. Anyway, yeah, it's we shall see. But right now in Central Washington, we have not reason to celebrate, but reason to maybe at least take a fucking deep breath. It's like, oh, hopefully this is the last massive peak that we will see of this miserable fucking era. But anywho, the rest of the show I think will be quite fun because I've got a little game that I'm going to give you guys. We got a exciting championship round of news. We will never get a consistent intro for this.
Part of the charm, right?
Weird news trivia quiz that might get Christopher fired. I think I touched on a little bit of all of them over the years there. And Bats will be joining us. Your baby mama, once again, will be joining us to champion for herself. I'm excited to see how this goes. And the prize is once again upon me, which is not as dire as it seems because Sarah's moved out and I had to get a bunch of shit moved into the she had a bunch of storage in my storage room. Now that that's out, I have enough room to move and dig some shit out. And holy snikes, do I have some... I have a whole bunch of things. We'll talk about that more in a bit. And I didn't really have time to throw together a news story, but that's okay because I think we got a packed show, and I'm sure you guys got some stuff you want to talk about. I did want to say...
I'm excited to talk about Mother Love Bone, too.
That's how we're going to end the show,
experiences there.
I'm excited
Lyle.
there, too. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I could satisfy your interest there, Chris. I was expecting a text like somewhere a day or so after that show. It's like...
I didn't
normally
get a chance
that
to listen
happens.
to the weekend. Yeah, life got busy, but I have stuff to say.
We'll get it all out tonight. I've got plenty to say, of course. Just wanted to mention quickly, I logged on to Peacock the other day to watch something or other.
Enunciating.
Properly, that's how they do it. And I saw a new show pop up called Frogger. And it had the indelible
I heard about this
logo. And I'm like, oh, tell me this is like championship level Frogger head-to-head competition, because I would love to watch that. Just people like playing for high score in like a minute or less or whatever, you know, something. I would love to see that kind of simplicity. But what it really is more like the sort of, these obstacle course reality or game shows that we've seen over and over, like American Ninja and stuff like that. And they're just trying to cross this, I think, poorly matched version of the Frogger layout. So I was a bit disappointed when I saw that that's what the premise is. But I will still watch it and report back. And that is the entertainment news. And that is all the news that I brought this week. Frogger. Now, you know damn well, especially because the premise of the show is something we've seen a dozen times. You know damn well that this is just a cash grab, a probably smart cash grab, because we're 80s crazy and we are retro video game crazy right now still, and it's a wave that's lasted longer than I would have guessed, to be quite honest. I'm all for it, you know, I love it. I'm an 80s kid, and these things are not, it's not like when I discovered the Doors or the Beatles or old comic books like from the 50s and old radio shows. This was shit that was happening in my time, so of course, I'm directly tied to it, but it is odd that it's still such a popular thing. But I'll give Frogger a try and report back.
I think you should try out for the show, Ron. I think you're of age.
Well, I've been training. I am neither. I am neither of age nor limber.
God, fucking kill. You'd be such a great. You know what you're because it's got to be one of those things where like I've seen these shows like The Floor Is Lava, that type of show where
Yeah,
they interview all
something.
the contestants. You get to know them a little bit, and you could be like, I love Frog. I got the high score at home. You know, you and Yeti and Betty sitting there
My
fucking
high
playing for they'll
score
show
is
clips,
16.
and
Like,
then
there
you
I
get on
was.
that fucking obstacle course and just get your shit pushed in.
I
Fucking
just
first,
I fall off the launch platform. I don't even make it to
Just
the
cuts
first
to black.
spinning.
yeah, they never mention you again.
Yeah, go to commercial.
And we have Jessica up next.
The commercial is for
Anyway.
life insurance. Yeah. Well, that's exactly how it would go right now. I'm in decent shape. You know, I was out hauling a fucking tree, and so I talked about how the neighbors cut my tree down. Well, it's not exactly that they cut it down, it's that they cut it into miniature trees. And then usually what you do is you go out with the chainsaw and cut it into thirds or fourths or tenths in some cases. These are huge fucking trees. But the chunks that they left were basically just mini trees. So I've been out there hauling some pretty gnarly fucking wood. And, you know, what have I done the last couple of years except sit at a fucking laptop and drink and write for the magazine? I'm a professional pussy. I say it all the time. And I have to massage my hand after I paint.
That's funny. I would never use that word to describe you. I mean, I use many words to describe you, Ron.
Sure.
But that's not one of them.
Well, I appreciate that. But in terms of physical prowess, it was nice to know that I still, I was out there busting my ass, sweating like a pig. And I still got the endurance, but I could use some more muscle gain, as it turns out. But I just can't imagine doing anything like that.
You know what you need is a training montage of you doing that.
Right.
And then go look for that kid that stole your hat.
Yeah, you're stealing my joke, you
That's
motherfucker.
true.
It's so good.
I'm the best. Where's
You
my
do that
hat?
3 or 4 more times a year,
Give me
you
my
might be
hat.
an even match next time to a teenager.
Yeah, well, what if he's been doing it the whole time too, looking for a rematch? Because even though the day was his, unquestionably the
It's
day
kind
was
of like
his.
Rocky, right? He's the Russian.
He's Drago.
You're Rocky.
Yeah, we're all rooting for me, right?
He's already like, if he dies, he dies.
If he loses another hat, he loses another hat. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Oh, humbling. Life is humbling. Anyway, that's all I got until our game. What you guys got?
I wanted to quickly. Oh, hold on.
I was going to ask how many of you guys died on your birthday.
Oh yeah, Lyle died on his birthday technically, but don't you worry. His ghost makes it now.
Ooh. Did your heart actually stop, or did they have to zap you to get it back to regular rhythm?
Stopped it.
They stop it, yeah.
Do you remember it? Were you
guys don't
conscious?
Most of you guys know that like I do dialysis every other day, and it's a 4-hour thing, and you're sitting in a chair, and then it's the last hour that I start cramping up, and then my blood pressure kind of starts going high because my body's going into kind of like a shock, you know, because it's forcing all that work to be done rather than even ebb and flow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened this last time, last Saturday, was that I went in. And after I left, my beats per minute, like on my watch, was saying it was 130.
Yeah, not good.
Not good at all.
Unless you're hiking.
Well, unless you're hiking or you're on a treadmill or something like that, it's not good at all. If you're just sitting there, and so it kept that way the whole time. And I take blood pressure medicine to bring it down. And I took it, like I was supposed to. And it would take it down a little bit, about into the 80s, and then it'd shoot right back up to 130. So it was like that for 3 days until I went back to dialysis it started on a Saturday, and I went back on a Tuesday. And it was still 130 throughout the whole treatment and then afterwards. So I knew, because sometimes every once in a while, it'll get high like that, and then once I get attached back to the machine, detached, it drops down. It's weird that way.
Yeah.
And so this way didn't work. So I went to the emergency room because the thing with the AFib, and I know we've talked about it before, it's when the top of your heart is beating really, really, really fast, and then the bottom of your heart's just beating slow. And so what happens is the blood pools up at the bottom of your heart, at the bottom, and when they beat together, it shoots out blood clots all through your body.
Oof.
So you got to be very careful about that because it could kill you.
Yeah.
It could get in your brain and have a stroke or whatever, you know. I went into the hospital and they did they did 1 dose of metoprolol, which is intravenously. They kind of gave it to me with a needle, and it was a drip method, and it kind of worked a little bit. It dropped my. You got to remember, I'm still at 130 for my beats per minute.
Mm-hmm.
It dropped down to about high 80s, and then it would just ramp right back up. And so, well, I was like, well, fuck. And so they gave me a different drug, which I don't recall what it was, but it was the same thing. It's meant to stop your heart. And it didn't work. So what they had to do, it had the same, you know, treatment. It would just lower it down to about like the high 80s, 90s, but then it still ramped back up to 130. So what they had to do is basically put me out and stop my heart and then restart it. So luckily, I mean,
were you awake
Lyle
when this
Thompson,
happened?
the Nikki Sixx of Wenatchee. Am I right?
Yeah.
In fact, I think you sent us a Kickstart My Heart reference text to tell us that, yeah, Jesus.
That was the first thing I turned on.
Celebrate. Mm.
Yeah. Well, it was, you know, one of those things. Here, sign this piece of paper, you know, and we're gonna put you out, and then we'll, you know, it's just
Best of luck.
So you were out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, they put me out, and then when I woke up, I was like, oh, hey, what's going on?
Do you have like the toaster marks on your chest?
I have the pad marks where they've stripped the big magical pads that I had to wear for the EKG and all the other shit.
How long does it stop your heart? Is it just like for a beat or two?
They put you on a machine and they stop your heart to get it to stop completely, and then they try to resuscitate you. And hopefully you get resuscitated.
Hopefully. That's exactly right. That's what a lot of people don't realize about a lot of heart procedures. Like, we didn't know that when my brother went in to have his heart surgery when he was like 26. They're like, we found that out afterward. Like, you know, they pull his heart out of his chest, and then they stop it, and then they sew on a new aorta, and then they put it back in, and then they shock it, and then they cross their fucking fingers. Maybe it starts back up, maybe it doesn't. It's
well, and the scary thing is that that shit could happen. I mean, like right now, if I could monitor my heart and it could be back to 130 again. And if that's the case, I got to go back to the fucking emergency room. And they got to do it all over again.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a sketchy kind of deal. But of all days, it had to be on my birthday.
It was your birthday. Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of complaining about it a little bit because I've been on dialysis for 3 years. It's been like 3 years since we did Lyle-a-palooza.
That's crazy.
And every year I've been in there on my birthday for treatments. So it's just like, I just go to dialysis.
We'll spend my birthday in the hospital.
I can't really go out and party. I can't drink, you know. So it's just like, you know, what are you going to do?
That is your party. Go hang out with the boys down in dialysis. But, you know, I think about this a lot. And I think about a lot of people that I know who have their lives have been saved through medicine and through doctors and through hospitals. And it's just like, you know, I hate that so many people have just started to look at these people like they're some sort of evil human beings in white trench coats. You know, they are there to save us. They want us to be well. If you have a heart attack or you have cancer, you got a bad kidney, or you have a stroke, or you're in a car accident, you got a concussion, who are you going to trust? Like, you go to these people that are there and set up in a very admittedly imperfect system run and controlled by a lot of imperfect people and organizations. I understand that. But at the end of the day, you are going to see people that are genuine. They do not want to go home at the end of the day having lost you. I promise you they don't. And this is what the medical industry is. It's made up of people that are doing things like shocking your fucking heart back to life so that you can live. And I don't know. It's something that goes through my head a lot. A lot of what we're seeing in this country, I think, like so many things we've seen in this country, is a type of privilege. If you have not experienced a serious illness, it probably is easier for you to have a a very standoffish, maybe shady view of medicine and science and hospitals and doctors and nurses. But if you've needed their help and they've helped you, you have a completely different dialed in glance, I would assume.
It's a different aspect of life, really. And we have a mutual friend that's going through cancer right now.
Yeah, bad cancer.
It's hard to explain because it's like, obviously it's cancer, you know, and you break it down in certain stages, but it's like at the end of the day, it's more of a life change. It's more of it's a rebirth. You know, you're a different person. There's nothing really you can do about it. You just kind of gotta accept it.
Yeah.
And once you do that, it's going to be a lot easier.
Well, you don't have to accept it, Lyle. You just did. You know, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't fight, and a lot of people just. Yeah, true. And understandably, I get why so many people just look at what's ahead of them, and the fight, and the clinics, and the tests, and the needles, and the tubes, and whatever it is, the surgeries. I get why so many people just kind of give up. So, you know, don't sell yourself short here, Lyle. It's not hyperbole. It's not hyperbole to say that you kicked cancer's ass, because I genuinely believe in the power, and I think even science and medicine backs up the power of not just positive thinking, but you accepting what you're in for and heading into it with that attitude of fighting. It doesn't guarantee you're going to see it on the other side, but that's what gives you the most fighting chance mixed with the medicine. You know. Yeah. And holy shit, I can only imagine that, you know, I've had some medical issues, but the biggest thing I've had is my brain injury, and that's fucking tame as shit compared to what people go through.
You got to do it day by day, even if it's like from the first biopsy, you know, like you're sitting at home waiting, you know, for a few weeks to find out if it's even cancerous. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, it's cancer. You know, you're like, well, fuck, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's I lost everything. I lost my job. You know,
it stopped. Everything just stopped. Yeah.
Everything stopped. And luckily I was able to get on my Social Security, but it took 9 months for me to get on it.
And fighting to do it. Yeah.
Without any pay, or, you know, how am I going to pay rent? You know, how am I going to eat? You know, so it was definitely tough. And that's why it's kind of, you know, you got to just take that kind of stuff day by day.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you didn't die on your birthday for too long, but I'm disappointed that it sounds like you didn't go get a lottery ticket and play your birthday.
You know, all my luck went out because I had dropped my phone.
Well, saving a life, that'll burn through a lot of luck in one day, sure. Mm-hmm.
Broke a black mirror.
Crazy. Chris, did you have a story you wanted to jump in with?
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to say I finally sent off my committed prize to Sarah Ray Shields. And I had those books. I rounded up all the books I could find. I threw in a few extra things. Like I had an old Tales from the Space Pod, one of those CD inserts that we used to give away at Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah.
I had a burned bloody orange CD I threw in for her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Given me.
I probably hand cut those sleeves together.
Yep. 100%. I know you did, because it looked like sure.
Macaroni glued onto spell to bloody orange.
I'm like, so as I'm throwing this box together, I'm like, fuck, I just want, you know, like anything I can find. I threw like a little funny weed tchotchke tin in there, and then I was like, you know, my mom left this giant bag of Hershey Kisses, so I'm just gonna Hershey Kisses on top, you know, rock on. Sealed it up, took it to the post office, sat in line forever, Sarah Ray, and sent it to you. I get this message like 3 or 4 days later. She's like, thanks so much for the package. Got it. You almost killed my dog. I'm like, huh? I'm paraphrasing, by the way. She was laughing about it, but she was like, I didn't think it was I thought it was something else. I left it there, and the dog was getting into it, and the chocolate was getting thrown around. He didn't actually get any, so I'm really lucky, but it melted all over one of the books. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Jesus. She's like, thanks. You know, she seemed grateful.
Haven't we learned about good deeds, Chris? You just had to go above and beyond. You just had to throw in those extra kisses.
I'll take my cues from Ronster and just hold on.
Just don't do it. Just don't do nothing. You can't go screwing things up if you don't do nothing. That's the Ronster method.
I didn't get any comments on Facebook today because my week has been total shite. But I promise I will bring the best of comments next week because we've had a bunch of really good ones, and I
Well, we
really
got a
appreciate
championship
everyone that's
round anyway, so you
yeah,
probably
exactly.
use that for that.
But to those of you that are doing that, thank you, because it's really nice to get any kind of feedback. And speaking of feedback, I wanted to send a quick shout out to Joel, Sarah Sims, and Jeffrey for sending me really nice messages about Record Club stuff. Just I put a lot of work into that, as we all did, I know, and it felt really good to actually hear someone listen to them and come back and give me feedback or share their experiences or even music that they think I should check out. That was really cool. So thank you guys, and make sure you're considering sending in your Record Club pick because I'm super looking forward to going over one of the fans.
Yeah, and we'll have to do that. We'll choose that next week because we're out of people for the life-changing album. Lyle is wrapping us up on that one, so we'll have to go to another pick moving forward. But before we do that, we need to feature one of y'all's life-changing album. That and I think if you're following along enough, you'll know what we're into and what we're not into. So you're probably going to know how to pick something that maybe we're not super key on, but it doesn't have to be that way. I want people to understand, especially with this topic, if it changed your life, it changed your life. I picked a pretty well-known album by a well-known band, so they don't have to be obscure. I've had a few people say, I want it to be something you guys haven't heard. It's like, save that for something down the road. That will come up. We'll have like underrated albums that you think no one will have heard, like more obscure shit that can come down the road. But this one right here, you got one more week to do it. Send us a recording or an email of you giving us a little background, what it is about this album that speaks to you, and steer us in the right direction, as we all have done for ye. And it is exciting to watch people playing along with it, because it's one of those things where whether you meet people or not, that's one of the best things in life, is sharing art in general, but there's something especially powerful about music. Like, because we all know, like, you watch a good movie, it can move you in a certain way. If you read a good book, it can stick with you for a while. I don't think anything affects you quite like music. I
agree. Yeah, I mean,
it can be such a deep experience.
Yeah. I'm sure other people would disagree on that on some level, but I think it's so easy to. I listen to music every day. I mean, multiple times a day, but I don't watch movies every day or anything like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can play movie scenes in your head, but how often do we do that and then get chills? You can think of a chord progression in your head, or you can think of a song. You can be playing a song that you know very well in your head and give yourself chills by listening to it. It's like you're listening to it. There's, I don't know. And, I do believe that some people would say, well, movies are more powerful, but take the music and the sound away from movies and they are less powerful. There's no way around that. Anywho, John Mark, did you have anything you wanted to throw out before we get moving on?
Well, I have I know that we're all have quite a backlog of recommendations of things to watch, but I watched this movie yesterday called *Malignant*. Have you guys heard of it?
I've heard of it.
What is it? Give a brief synopsis.
I don't really know how to, because there's kind of like I don't know. I guess it's a twist, right?
Well, you told us. Hang on, because you told us specifically not to look anything up about it.
Exactly.
That's true.
So maybe don't tell us about it. Just tell us what you thought about it. I love going into things cold.
Yeah. So this,
Gross.
I've been reading.
I didn't think I spent so much time alone.
Movie online for the last couple weeks. It just came out, I think, recently in the last week or so. Maybe a couple weeks on HBO Max, and I think it's in theaters as well. And it the cover for it, the poster, the cover shot for it looks a lot. It reminds me a lot of something that you would have seen for an 80s or maybe even late 70s Italian horror movie, like a Tenebrae or something, like a Dario Argento movie poster,
Zombie.
And people have been throwing around that it's supposed to be sort of trying to be reminiscent of, I think it's Galliano. Does that ring a bell? I think there's a director named
It doesn't to me,
Galliano, like
but I'm not a huge Giallo.
Italian
guy.
horror film guy, or it's Spanish or something. I don't know, but like,
Watch
there's
your
a
John
lot
Mark.
of
Watch your rattling. I still don't know what exactly is doing that, but
it's probably my mic on my like shirt or stubble or something.
maybe you're just like moving around or anyway.
So there's a lot of it's a movie that you kind of have to pay attention to because there's a lot of little details in the scenes, right? And it's just like, wait, did I see that? I just saw something, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. We're like, wait, I could swear I saw something there, you know, that kind of thing. That's not like something that you realize until like after it disappears, like, wait a second, that kind of stuff. So it has some really cool cinematography and lighting and things like that. But here's the thing about it is that like, I really enjoyed it. From all I've read, it's one of those things where some people are like, this movie sucks. And some people are like, this movie fucking rules,
Yeah.
you know? And I actually quite enjoyed it. And I still am not quite sure exactly what the fuck kind of movie it is. Okay. It's a horror movie.
So it's a lot to take in.
It's for sure a horror movie. Yeah, it's a horror movie for sure. But it starts out kind of one way. And then like in the last third and like the third act or whatever, it just like, it kind of switches to something else, but it's great, I thought. But it just like has all these elements of different things. I was trying to figure out like, how the fuck did they decide to do this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just, I really, it was surprisingly enjoyable, I thought. And I think you guys will dig it.
Is it an Italian movie or is it just kind of based?
No, it's not.
Is it in English?
It's not. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was directed by James Wan, W-A-N, James Wan. I can't remember what else he did. It's something recently. But I think he even said it was supposed to be sort of like an homage to like sort of like this Galliano, I think is the guy's name, or I don't remember. It's the director. But that's just scuttlebutt from what I've been reading about it on the internet. But somehow I didn't get it spoiled for me, which was cool because some people like will probably see the thing that happens in it coming from a mile away. I didn't, because I generally don't go into movies like looking for that. Like I don't want to see the thing coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
sure.
I just kind of like let it kind of wash over me what's happening. There's really cool visuals, lots of good action. There's some like cool gore. And it's just like, I recommend it if you get a chance in the next few days to just kind of like, before you read some spoilers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of give it a shot or something. I don't know. It might even be, if we were still doing movie club kind of thing, it'd be perfect. It'd be perfect for that.
Well, I think we will at some point, doing that again. That was a lot of fun. I just think there's a better way to do it than, what was it? Netflix, Party, I think is what it was. It's got a different name now. And it was fun. What it is, you just, once you get the invitation, you join and you watch on Netflix, and there's a little sidebar with live chat that we can all take part in. I don't know. I guess there's nothing wrong with it. It just, for some reason, we never got a lot of people involved with it, but it was fun to do. And we watched some interesting shit. Chris, are you back? Chris just sent a text. Chris usually doesn't have the kid when we podcast, but some things got mixed around. I guess he said that on the show. I think we were recording at that point. Sometimes it's hard to remember. But he said, kid decided to take a dump. Gotta go wipe and situate. Not my favorite Vanilla Ice lyrics, but I can understand. Yeah, well, yeah, go ahead, Lyle.
I said, oh, man.
Oh, before we move on to, well, we got to wait till Chris gets back to go and get on to the game. Anybody else got any news they want to throw out real quick?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Lyle.
There's this Mexican rapper, and his name's Dan Sewer. And he's probably got the coolest set of, I guess you would call dreadlocks. Chains, maybe, possibly. He had surgically implanted chains, like neck chains in his head,
No.
As a hair. Yeah, I'm gonna send you just a picture of it. He looks like.
Ouch.
Isn't that crazy? They had implanted hooks
Oh, okay.
into his skull, and then they just put these like gold chains.
Why wouldn't you just wear the wig? I guess we wouldn't be talking about it if he had just worn the wig. But the results are the same, right? Would you ever guess that was anything other than just a wig?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know.
Although if he's on stage doing his thing, he could do that sort of. Remember when Lane Staley kind of had dreadlocks? He would like spin his head around a little bit, and the dreads would flap around in an exciting way. I bet he that you couldn't do with the wig, and unless it was fastened, which is what people do.
You know what it reminds me of is when I was a kid. Those beaded curtains. You remember? If you had.
I had them in my house for a long time.
They're like just curtains that were made out of beads.
It looks like he's walking through one like he's just starting because all you see is his nose
seems like
poking
it'd be
through.
so fucking painful.
It has to be. So when you say surgically, does it elaborate? Like they can't be in his skull, right? So they got
in his skull.
They are into his skull.
They put little hooks that are all into his skull.
So he can take them off, but he's got like Darth Maul head going on.
Yeah, he must have just like the anchors in his skull. What if he gets in a car accident and those can't be good to be pushed into your skull?
But it's gold. Gold's a soft metal, so if they're
it's true.
The hooks are soft,
true.
then they'll bend more than break.
Can't we figure out ways of getting attention without? How far is this going to go? I mean, I feel like we've been saying that about fashion forever, and we will
go forever.
But how far can it go? What will be next? I did not see the face tattoo trend coming, and I could probably count on 8 hands how many people I now personally know. I'm not talking about celebrities, not white rappers.
Really?
I know so many people that have face tattoos. Did not see that coming. And, whatever. I don't give a shit. It's like people talk about, well, how are you going to get a job? Well, I think we live in a different age now. I think at this point, you're more likely to be hired by a person that looks like that in certain cities than you are. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be that. Also, it's such a widespread trend that, businesses are going to be like, oh, we never would hire someone with the fucking face tattoo to work the front desk at the Four Seasons. Well, who else is applying at this point? You might want to take them. And between that and the hiring managers now are in their 20s or 30s. They don't give a shit.
Well,
different piercings. I just didn't see it coming.
There's some crazy piercings and like tongue splitting and stuff like that are I don't know part of the.
There are some piercings I can't figure out. So I get the ones that are on the cheek, and then you have like a magnet on the inside of your cheek, or it's a piercing, and you have the backing of it, just like an earring, on the inside of your cheek to some degree. What is happening with these under chin piercings? Are they just anchored in your flesh somehow? There can't be another end under your tongue, right?
No, there's what are they called? Dremels? I think that's what they call it. It's just under the skin. You could have like I don't know, like little tips on your knuckles or something.
Yeah, because they do those like on their collarbones, and I've seen it has to be just like a stud that's I don't know. Lyle's probably right. It's like a weird little.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they like slit some of the skin open and they put like a flange in there. It's like the oldest grandpa way of so you got like a 2.8 millimeter flange in there, cutting up to an L bracket, or
I believe it's a bar. They'll stick the Dremel through and then they'll put a bar through it, I think, and that's what holds it in.
God, now that's the next level. We're putting bars in us. What's next? A giraffe?
Giraffe.
Anyway.
Are we ready to get on to your quiz here? I'm so curious what you've done.
I guess we better, because we're already at 50 minutes and we got so much to talk about. I don't want to be shy when we get to talking about Mother Love Bone at the end. Before the show, I reached out to you all to ask to pick a number between 1 and 1,000. Now, Lyle came in with the trusty 69. John Mark gave an interesting 333.
Yes.
And Christopher was right on the money right off the bat. Like you answered within, I feel like seconds, but it was probably minutes, with the correct number. And it is a human number, 666. And that was your only clue as to whether you knew it or not. You probably knew it, but that was your clue as to tonight's game, which will be on the highest grossing horror films of the 1980s. Now, if I remember right, I think one of the earliest versions of the Eliminaysh game was when Christopher brought us a list of like the highest grossing sci-fi films, but I think that was of all time. This is horror specifically of the 1980s. So and we will go in that order. So Christopher got it right. He'll be first. John Mark was second. Lyle will pick up the caboose. And I gotta say, I think this list is from all time in terms of gross, because I got to think with these numbers, I'm guessing DVD sales and re-releases and all that stuff comes into play. I don't think that'll matter all that much. I'm just looking at the numbers because the number one film here was $230 million. And I don't feel like we are talking about those kinds of numbers at all in the 80s. I could be wrong, but...
Well, 80s sits on a weird, when you talk about horror, 80s sits on a weird kind of pedestal.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It also sits in a weird genre bending decade. And because there are a couple of what I would call head scratchers in here. Some films that I don't think any of us would truly call a horror film, but it's fair to say that they do live in that sort of world. There's only a couple of them, but there's one that's so odd. In fact, I'm going to change it right now. If you get this one, it is not the number one answer by any stretch, but if you get it, I'm going to give you 20 fucking points, even though that is what the number one answer is worth, because it's so bizarre.
So is this going to be like where we're just guessing out right out in the open?
Yeah, the typical Eliminaysh. We're going to go in order, and of course, once you guess, that one is taken off the board. And the number one answer is worth 20 points. Well, I got the top 20 here. We'll look at the clock and we'll look at the score, but I'd like to at least try to get you guys to figure out the top 10 here. But anything in the top 20 will score.
Okay.
So that is the shiz, and we are starting with Christopher. What's your guess? Remember, you want to go for those top.
My guess, Ron, is that your mother sucks cocks in hell. The Exorcist.
Now, the original Exorcist was in the 70s, early 70s, I think. So, no.
I blew my first draft pick. I fucking blew my first pick.
Oh, yeah. John Mark, would you go ahead and mute when you're not talking? Because that rattling's just kind of, it's constant. We got to figure that out.
Fuck you, I'm rattling all I want.
Fuck you, I won't mute what you tell me.
I won't mute when you tell me.
So a huge opportunity for John Mark to pull ahead.
It's my turn to guess.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say Poltergeist.
Oh, what a good guess.
Poltergeist is a good guess. It's number 6, and that is worth 15 points.
Very nice.
Good one to start off with there, Lyle.
I'm going to go with an old that you should always listen to your mother, especially when you're at camp, and that would be Friday.
Friday the 13th is lower than I would have put it at 16, but it is worth 5 points. It's on the money list. That came out in 1980, so it barely counts as an 80s film. All right, Christopher, you got some making up to do here.
Oh, God. Well, I'm so fucking thrown by all of this, first off and foremost.
Good.
But I'm going to go with a Nightmare. I'm going to go with The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Not on the top 20.
Oh, what the fuck is going on here?
I know. Isn't this crazy? Now, I checked this list against 3 or 4 lists. It's legit. We still have the top 5 wide open, so you have plenty of chances to get caught back up, especially if John Mark or Lyle whiff on this round. John Mark, what say you?
Thinking about what you consider to be like oh, what are the classic horror movies of the 80s that I know? Like, just because that you know them to be classics doesn't mean they did that well financially.
Yeah. Not at all.
And there's like a bunch of things that I'm thinking of that were probably like box office flops.
But later
like,
became, yeah.
Did they pick it up on the back end, like, or are they still just like a cult classic? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got the list in front of me, and honestly, I don't know. I don't know how many of these. If this is an all-time gross list, which I'm not really sure. I couldn't find the deets on that. I will tell you that all of them on the list that are there make sense. More than the ones that have been guessed don't.
I'm gonna go with Halloween.
Halloween is not quite on the top 20.
Oh,
You know what's interesting about Halloween is it was considered one of the most successful independent films of all time. It may still be, based on what it made over what it cost.
Yeah, when they made that film, they didn't spend a lot of money.
But that's the thing. See, it in percentage-wise, it was very successful and, of course, super iconic. But, yeah, Halloween did not quite hit on the top 20. Surprising, that one.
I'm going to go with my guess to be something you definitely should not feed after midnight. And
yes.
Oh.
I would say a little gremlin action.
Well, you would say 19 fucking points, because that is number 2.
Unbelievable, Lyle. Well done, sir.
See, that's crazy. So I wouldn't even consider that a horror movie.
That's what I'm saying. And trust me, that's more of a horror movie than some of these on the list.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lyle.
Watching the trailer as a kid, that they actually kind of spun it as a scary movie.
Yeah, but if you go back and watch it now, it's a horror movie.
I mean, it's definitely
there's
like,
a lot of killing.
It's a creepy movie, but it's not. I don't consider it a horror movie. Yeah. It's just like a weird. I feel you.
What would you call it?
That's why I gave it.
It feels like an '80s horror slash.
It's a horror comedy for sure. It's definitely a comedy.
I want to go
Dead
see
Alive. I don't know.
Yeah,
let's watch it.
All right. Well, Chris, you were still okay, even though you got 2 whiffs back to back because John Mark missed one. Totally. Lyle had a low one the first time, but that last one put him in good standings. But lots of chance to catch up here.
I'm gonna swing for the stars again here. I feel like swing for the stars. Wow, I just threw 2 together, didn't I? swing for the fences, shoot for the stars.
But did you point to the Big Dipper?
I'm gonna swing for the stars with a movie that rightfully should be in this list, but again, everything's fucking rock bottom for me right now. Can't win them any. I'm gonna say The Shining.
The Shining is on the list. Not quite.
Doesn't sound promising.
Well, not quite as high as I was expecting when I was looking this up, but still a good chunk of points. It's number 13, which gives you 8 points. So you're on the board.
Oh, good.
And not a terrible place to be starting from. John Mark, go ahead.
Jeez, man. I guarantee you all the movies that I know and love in my head as 80s horror movies are gonna do me wrong.
I don't know, man. There's some pretty obvious ones.
But it's like financially successful though, still to this day. I don't know. Fucking Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, not on this list.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, that one was on my radar years later. I was aware of it, but I don't think I ever saw Hellraiser until it was on like HBO in the 2000s or something crazy like that. I was like, holy shit, this looks like ass. It's super dated. That first one anyway. A lot of these are.
I watched that. That was actually that was going to be my guess.
Oh, well, he saved you a whiff.
There's a ton of vampire movies out there that I do adore that was around in the 80s, like Lost Boys.
God damn it, Lyle.
Oh, interesting. Lost Boys, not on the top 20.
Oh,
what?
I mean, I love it, Lyle.
Right now.
But it's shit list.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It may be until you hear it. There's some pretty major movies that we haven't danced around yet. But all the ones you guys are guessing are literally like in the next 10. So you're not that far. It's just we're sticking with the top 20. But that actually makes it a pretty close game if Christopher gets something here. So I'm kind of glad you, John Mark, whiffed on that one.
Man, I had a great thought for a horror movie.
Thanks a lot.
At the same time, I every time I'm surprised. So this is a little. I don't know that you. I think this is horror. Yeah, I'm gonna go Aliens.
There you go. Number 4 with a bullet, and that gives you 17 points and puts you right back in the motherfucking game. Aliens
that's a fucking sci-fi movie, for fuck's sake.
Well,
it's kind of sci-fi horror.
I feel like I was
like
pretty
Event
fair at
Horizon,
setting
right?
the premise. Some of these are not what we would consider horror movies, but this is the Internet Movie Database. It's all of the other aggregators that I saw included all these same movies. So, but I think it's fair to say that they're. Look, would you put Aliens in the same category as Battlestar Galactica or Star Wars or Star Trek? I mean, Aliens is a pretty gnarly, grotesque, violent movie.
Yeah, there's horror elements to that movie, and Alien. I mean, I almost think Alien is more.
Yeah.
I don't know. God, they're both. Scary.
In my mind, they're both science fiction movies, but Alien is definitely like more on the horror spectrum. Like that's a horror movie. That's a haunted house movie.
Yeah, but think of how many
Aliens,
guts
to me,
you saw in Aliens. Like those kills got way more violent.
Aliens to me is a sci-fi fucking military fucking action thing with monsters instead of, you know what I mean? It's just,
I feel you.
I feel like the last act in that is total horror. Like it's an
But
escape
I will
from
say
the haunted
this.
mansion.
I will say this: you've got enough on the list now to, I think, at least let you know where you need to be thinking, and not just with the the obvious horror genres. You need to be thinking a bit more. Something that
I mean, I get it. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying in my mind that's
I hear you. Well,
you know what I mean?
I'm telling you, there are a few on this list that are way more in that category. At the same time, they're considered part of the horror genre, and you can argue one way or the other about it. But yeah, I think most of us would probably. Look, I think Aliens was even on the sci-fi list, so that's. I mean, that proves your point. So, but. Christopher looking good now. Let's do a couple more rounds and I'll get a tally of where we're at. But John Mark is at 15, I know. And I believe it's your turn.
Me.
Mm-hmm.
John Mark.
John, me, you, Mark. Whiskey.
Okay, so in the spirit of this type of thing,
type of thing. Let's get serious.
I'm gonna go with Terminator 2.
Oh, that's in the 90s, bitch.
Terminator 2 is in the 90s, yeah. And hey, come on, that's a sci-fi film.
Well, if we're saying Aliens is a fucking horror movie, then fucking Terminator's a fucking.
You mean to say
it's a
Terminator 1?
It's a fair guess, and I'll explain in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I get it. I whiffed because my brain doesn't work anymore.
You guys aren't coming up with crazy shit. It's just I have the advantage of the list, and when you hear the list, there's going to be some where you're like, "What? Come on, that's not really a horror movie." But there's a lot that you haven't said that. Oh, right, you don't have that reaction. Lyle, what you thinking?
This is the one you're gonna get. The Predator.
There you go. Yeah. Now, see, that's kind of what I was hinting at. I'd say that's in the same line of like Aliens or even Terminator.
Well, because they did have a thing together at one time.
But again, Predator was pretty fucking violent, and it was
scary.
It walks
like ripping fucking heads.
A fine line between sci-fi and something else, right?
Sure.
Like it's like an action. It's an action sci-fi movie with a lot of fucking gore in it. It's not a horror movie.
Gore means horror to a lot of people, I suppose. Anyway, Lyle is kicking ass because that was 13 points. That was number 8.
Lyle. Good job.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I got more. Oh,
don't we know it? Okay, so back to Christopher. One more round, and I'll get us caught up on the score.
Okay. I'm gonna go with one of my absolute favorite horror movies. Well, I think this is horror. Yeah. The Thing.
Oh, that was such a good fucking movie.
Oh, The Thing is absolutely horror, but that was rather famously a box office disaster. Yeah,
Right.
that's
Cool.
that's quite a bit down the list, even if this is a modern. Well, that would be up
Bullshit.
there. Remember, we're talking money. All these movies that you guys listed would absolutely have. We'd probably already have the top 10 list if it was like best or most beloved, popular, whatever. But going on off dollars, yeah, The Thing is way down there. It was John Carpenter's not been a terribly successful financial
He made a great video game
director.
out of that.
He just has one like out of every 5 of his movies become.
He just keeps cranking them out, and his movies are fucking great, but
He's
they're
got
just
like
not
30 of
like
them.
super financially successful.
Big Trouble in Little
And
China
enough-
was
and
one
if
of
we
his
keep
biggest
going, I
flops,
guess.
but who doesn't love that movie?
Oh my
Fucking
God.
love that movie.
Yeah,
What world are we living in? Fuck off.
yeah. But I don't think this list is that far off, that crazy. You just got to keep going through these famous horror 1980s. It's tough because they're like the rest of the top 5. I will say this, a little more tricky. But there are tons of good scores after that aren't tricky at all, and I'm surprised you guys haven't hit them yet. Who are we at? I'm sorry, I lost track. I think is it Christopher? No, you guessed. Another whiff. John Mark.
It was my turn again. Fuck. The original Terminator.
No, I don't even know if that's on this list. I'm scrolling through to try to get glances of it. I don't see that on the entire top 50. So no Terminator on this one, but not a bad guess. Lyle.
Are you ready, my little lads? Because my guess happens to be the little gold monger from the Leprechaun.
Well, see, what I like about that is you're getting closer to some of the vibe of some of these movies. Unfortunately, Leprechaun is not in the top 20, and I don't see it in the top 50 either. I think that was one of those movies that did kind of bomb, but found its inexplicable life in subsequent crazier and crazier sequels on home video.
Speaking of sequels, I'm going to dive right in with the first sequel request here, because that has to be a thing.
I was waiting.
I'm going to go with a Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Was it Return of Freddy or Freddy Comes Back? Freddy Strikes Again? Revenge of Freddy? Something. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
You got Johnny Depp in there?
Well, I wish I could give that to you, Chris, but not quite in the top 20.
This game's dumb.
You might be on to something, though. John Mark, what say you? And you do need to know the full titles.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
There you go.
No, not on the list at all.
Son of a bitch. I didn't think so.
No, not even I don't even know if well, I guess I just gave it away. The first one isn't on the list either. Those were movies that were cult classics, but they did not get
the first
proper.
one came out in the 70s.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
Right
Yeah.
here. Are you ready for it?
Go ahead.
Cold Sick. The Evil Dead.
The Evil Dead is another one of those, much like Halloween, that it profited a lot, but it never really reached the numbers of these other later ones. So, no, not on the top 20.
Wow.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. I think it was the Dream Warriors.
It's the Dream Warriors. Little soundtrack action by Dokken. That's good for 9 points, coming in at number 12.
Yes.
So you're back in it.
I knew it'd pay off.
You're back
Three
in it.
guesses is all it took.
John Mark is sliding.
I was about to say that. But I was like, I
Well,
don't know.
you got next helm. So where are you taking us? So many good horror movies right here. The problem is they're so all over the map, but they're all so 80s in their own
What's the
way.
80s?
Yeah.
Try to picture the 80s.
Fucking cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Oh, man.
And the problem was I was only in the United States for half of the 80s. So
Yeah, but you know these movies. I'm telling you.
yeah, I
know these movies.
do. I do.
We still don't have number 1 and number 3. I'll tell you this.
I'm coming.
Incredibly well-known movies. That's all I'll say. I've given you enough clues all around to let you know that this list expand horror into horror themes, and you might get there.
Whose turn is it?
It's John Mark's.
Critters.
Ooh, I love Critters, but not on the list, unfortunately. Critters, that was one of those that you just went back and you rented 1, and then you got 2, and you got 3, and they like all those great sequels, they just got more and more ridiculous. But no, surprisingly, not a box office smash.
I got one for you.
All right, let's hear it, Lyle.
Wait.
You ready?
It's Lyle's turn. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend Chris by any means, but
Fuck. Oh fuck. Oh god.
This one I would have expected Chris to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I stay away from this stuff.
How'd you know?
That's got to be number 1.
That came out in 1975.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I think he did.
well, yeah. I was trying to steer you guys in one direction, but
I think I got it. Yeah.
okay. So
I got it.
Lyle got his first whiff in a few rounds. So Chris, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna guess here, and this may not be a horror movie, but I'm thinking like movies with the name horror in it.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Ooh, interesting guess. Not on this list at all, though.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that's classified outside of.
Musical?
It probably would fall under horror, sci-fi, and musical. Yeah, it's got it all. All right, Christopher has 34. Write that down. John Mark, sadly and surprisingly, I don't have to add up your 1 score. Sitting back there with 15, but man, we still got some major ones up here with some big points. Lyle is in the lead here with 37. So it's a close game for the lead. As I said, John Mark's got some catching up to do.
Reanimator?
Not on the list, but a good guess. But a whiff all the same.
Not so good.
Okay, Lyle.
Well, it didn't work for Chris, so I'm going to dip into my own psyche and go with Chucky.
Oh God,
Yeah.
that's a great guess.
It's on the list. It's not high, but you're doing good points-wise anyway. It is number 19, which gives Lyle 2 more points, which pulls him up to 39.
I was trying to think, like, what's
impressive.
I can't think of any more icons. Like, we've hit them all, like all the big ones. When I see the diner picture of the '80s fucking horror icons, Freddy, Chucky, Jason, Hellraiser, they're all gone. But like, 'cause I'm trying to think, what about zombie? Is it like the only zombie movie I can think of in the '80s was it the Return of the Living Dead was the '80s one, right? Not Night of the Living Dead. So
Return of the Living Dead was in the '80s, yeah, not on the list.
that's not. Fuck.
Yeah.
Cool.
See,
Yeah.
that's one of my
Cult
favorite.
classic,
That
too.
is my favorite movie of all time.
See, these are a lot of these are
and
cold.
I knew that
Yeah, John
was not
Martin
going to be.
wasn't going to be on the list, but it's a good guess, and it was absolutely
Thanks
a
for telling
zombie movie in the He's like, yes, guess that. Okay, so John Mark, you still have an opportunity to get number 1, which would put you damn near the lead. It put you in second place.
Let's keep. God damn it! I'm not going to get number 1. I'm going to continue the zombie theme, and I'm going to go with Day of the Dead.
No, not on the list. Remember, you guys,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
box office numbers. What would that likely mean in the grand scheme of things?
It would mean that it's probably a movie that's not one of my favorites.
Well, or it could be,
You never
and you're
know.
just going to be
You
going.
never know.
Or
I promise you that these are beloved movies. Okay, Lyle.
my
a
next
chance
guess
to
is
seal
going to be
your lead here.
one of those movies that is iconic and has all the Coreys in it. And we're gonna go with Goonies, even though it's not really a horror.
Such a good guess. Such a good guess. I will tell you this, that is closer to some of the, there's a couple on here that is really close to, but that's not on the list. Good guess, though. And I just played that for children and can confirm it is very horror-ish. There's some horror and grotesque. There's dead bodies. There's bullet wounds. There's skeletons. There's curses. There's booby traps. There's lots of death. Yeah, all sorts of horror-ish elements wrapped up in a fun, family-friendly show. Okay, Christopher, you still got a chance to pull ahead here.
I'm running real dry on ideas, and I'm shocked we haven't got number one. But I'm like thinking, what about was Fright Night a success? Let's try to like a Dracula, like a vampire movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good guess, but not on the list. Nope.
Fuck off. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Cool period.
I don't know. Evil Dead 2.
No, not on the list. One of my favorite horror movies.
All I have to go on is like movies that I actually did go see in the theater in the fucking 80s horror movies, you know, like
Werewolf in London.
Werewolf in London.
That's a good guess.
No.
American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
That is just outside of the top 20. Such a good movie.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, that actor was just at Crypticon in Seattle.
What
A few
about
weeks ago.
The Fly?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. The Fly, the remake 1980, is number 15, which puts you in the lead because that is 6 points. You now have 40.
Awesome.
To Lyle's 39. Where are we now? We should probably get moving on. How about this? Since everyone else, well, John Mark, you're just out of it at this point, but Lyle will have one more chance to get 1 point or more to tie. I think that's pretty fair. Let's go ahead and close this out with one more round.
I think it might be in the 90s, but I'm going to go Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, you only needed 1 point, but you just didn't quite get there. Yeah, Dracula was.
Can I pop one more guess out since we're all doing it?
Yeah, well, you already won, but
yeah, just let me pop.
Let's hear it.
Creepshow.
Nope. Creepshow not on the top 20 either. Okay, here we go, guys. Okay, so Christopher won with 40. Wow, just at the end there.
List is invalid.
You came from 0 after a couple of rounds to beat Lyle, who was smashing your guys' ass. Okay, so here's number one. Now, I know, but at the same time, I gave you so many warnings. Number one with the bullet is Ghostbusters.
Oh, fuck.
And number two, I was so surprised you guys didn't go down more sequels. I kept trying to steer you in that direction, too. Ghostbusters 2 is number 3. That's how fucking successful that franchise.
Ridiculous. Those aren't even horror movies.
Just come.
I told you. No, here is one that you can complain about. Number 5, The Golden Child. You remember that movie with Eddie Murphy? It's got some horror elements, but literally nobody. I mean, come on. At least Ghostbusters, it's like the entire premise of the show is the dead, ghosts, ghouls, and lots of creepy things happening. The Golden Child?
I can accept that, but...
Yeah, The Golden Child was the wonky one. That's the one that I put a bonus 20 points on. Number 5 was Poltergeist. You got another one that I would not have put in this category at 7 is The Witches of Eastwick. And yet...
Bullshit.
And yet... Yeah, there's
Jen
some
just watched that
horrific
last
stuff
night.
in there. It's a horror. It's a Halloween movie. We can all agree on that.
It sure is.
Number 8 is Predator. 9, I was surprised nobody guessed this. I knew that this was a popular movie because I saw it 3 times and it was always packed. One of my favorite 80s horror films, Pet Sematary.
Oh, yeah, Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Not a perfect movie, but one of my favorite horror movies.
I would not have thought that was going to be one that was that successful for some reason.
Yeah. See, that's one that I was thinking, like, I would have probably guessed Evil Dead 2 would be more successful than Pet Sematary. But at the same time, I didn't see Evil Dead 2 in the theaters. Guitar's coming through nice and clear.
Very
well,
nice.
hopefully that fixed it. Guys haven't cut out.
Sound a little better.
Okay. So, yeah, we covered Pet Sematary. Number 10, Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 4, The Dream Master.
fucked.
Oh my God.
Made more money.
Did it make Jason and fucking Freddy too? In space?
Well,
Remember space?
More
SpaceX
of
or
that
whatever
name.
the hell it was?
I don't
Number
even
11.
remember part 4.
Really? The Dream Master?
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Number 11 was Jaws 3D.
Oh,
bullshit.
Yeah. But yeah, John Mark was right. That the original Jaws came out in the 70s. Otherwise, I think it would be higher on the list. Up at the top, you got the next few. Poltergeist 2 at number 14. Another sequel that didn't get guessed.
I was
I don't
thinking about
remember-
that, but I was like, I don't know if that did that well.
I remember the vomiting scene where he's like vomiting that giant like butterfly pupa or something.
Yeah, I
Very
did
troubling.
like 2. 3 was dumb. The one on the high rise.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that one. You got The Fly, got Friday the 13th. You did not get a surprising one on this list to me. Psycho 2. I like Psycho 2. I think Psycho 2 is highly underrated. I think it's a pretty good horror flick. Child's Play at 19 and coming in at 20, Teen Wolf.
Oh God.
So
Yeah.
those are your horror
Are you
movies.
serious?
I know. I don't count.
Teen Wolf.
I don't count that at all. But being at 20, who gives a shit? But yeah, Golden Child at number 5 or 6 was a surprise. Anywho, congratulations, Chris. Kicked ass on that right at the end there. And Lyle did a pretty good job on that too. Well, I know we just took a break. I don't know if anyone got a chance to pee like I did, but
Yeah.
we can do that now if you want,
I think
or
everybody
you
did.
want to move ahead.
Hi, Bats.
Is it too loud in my car?
Just mute when you're not talking.
I mean, we could wait till she gets home. All
Oh,
right.
no, she won't wait on for a while.
I won't be home for an hour.
Oh.
We can give it a try. Let me ask you this, as a little bit of a test, if nothing else. Chris, take a guess, and then Bats, you think about it for a second. What do you think is the highest grossing horror movie of all time? Any decade.
The Ring?
You're more in the wheelhouse than I was when I was thinking of where this would go. Want to take another guess?
Twilight.
Is that
was
a
scared.
horror?
That's how this
I'm scared just talking
Scream?
about it. Oh, wow.
What did you say?
Scream?
Oh, Scream was pretty high on the list. But no, it wasn't number 1.
What
Think
the
more.
fuck?
Think more recently. Yeah. Again, I don't know if this was
A Quiet Place.
No.
Damn.
One more. Bats, take one more guess, and I'll let you guys know.
Saw?
Ooh.
I don't know what's more recent.
That's a good guess too, and those were all in the list. It was It.
Oh, the new It?
Clown.
700 and like
I remember reading
75
that too.
million, 100 million. Number 2 is the only other one I remember off the top of my head, and that was I See Dead
I'm
People.
turning in my horror fan card, man.
Well, come on. It is definitely a horror movie. But again, I don't know if these lists adjust for inflation. That's one of the reasons why I decided to bag the whole of all time and just stick with the 80s, because I still thought a lot of those made sense. But yeah, some of them definitely were out of left field. Any old who, let's move on to a championship. It's been a chaotic night. I will have edited a lot of stuff out. I was having some catastrophic internet failure. It seems to be resolved, fingers crossed. Then it seemed like Bats maybe could make it to defend her honor, and then maybe couldn't. But now you're making it, but you're in your car, so that will explain the background noise. That's okay. As long as you mute when you're not talking, it'll work. But that sets the stage. Christopher, where are you taking us from here?
All right, guys. Well, welcome to our 4th championship round, guys.
Wow,
Fifth. I apologize. Previous winners of championship include Stephen Moyers, Jeff Hall, Ron Kompenstein, and Sarah Ray Shields. So, who is going to join the stars? Let me tell you who. Ben Morhaime, our Ben might be. TJ might be. Thurston Gore might be. Or Bats might be. Ron, you're going to be representing our Ben. John Mark, you're taking TJ. Lyle, you're taking our friend Thurston. And of course, Bats, You're going for yourself here, which is great because I will see Ron at some point soon, I hope.
Right. Yeah,
and I can
we'll have-
retrieve the prize. It won't be a 6-month. It won't be like a 6-month ship sitch.
steal something off my wall.
Yeah.
And that would be fair.
Question 1. Doctors are warning people about another dangerous fad diet that's making its rounds on the internet. Apparently, a 39-year-old American woman ended up with permanent brain damage after she followed this crash diet that requires you to consume large amounts of this. Is it A, apple cider vinegar?
I take it daily, not in large amounts.
Is it B, soy sauce?
Oh.
Don't want to dig that. That's all
Soy
salt.
sauce.
Mm-hmm. Is it
And
C, lawn seed?
Lawn seed.
Lawn seed. Okay. You put that on
Or
my
is it
head.
D, salt water?
Oh.
I'm on the saltwater diet.
Yeah.
God.
like a truck.
Rhyme with the Ancient Mariner. You ever heard that story?
Yeah, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. All right, who's first here?
So we're going to play in traditional order. Ron, you'll go first. John Mark, Lyle, then Bats.
Well, saltwater is ringing true for one reason and one reason only. Seems like so many of these fad diets are tied to a beach or a locale or a lifestyle. What's more healthy and organic than a day at the beach and drinking down your breakfast, lunch, and dinner? So I'm going to go saltwater.
Okay.
And that would put you in the hospital real quick.
Amen. Okay, John Mark.
So it was we got salt water, we got apple cider vinegar, soy sauce. What was the other thing?
Lawn seed.
Lawn seed.
That's for COVID.
Yeah.
This is a diet, huh?
A diet that requires you to consume large amounts of this.
Mm.
Good Lord. This is an actual fad. Any of these are insane.
I'm gonna say I don't know. I'm gonna say apple cider vinegar.
Oh.
And with the A, apple cider vin.
It's a good guess. It's all the rage.
Rage.
Well, as somebody that's dealing with kidney failure, I would say that soy sauce is actually really bad. It's just straight sodium.
It's got to be higher in salt than salt water.
And I think it might be a little bit more higher in salt than salt water. So I'm going to go with soy sauce.
Okay.
That's a good guess.
I'll put you down for soy sauce.
At least
That's
that's got
Bats.
flavor.
They're tasty.
Man, I know that some keto folks drink quite a bit of apple cider vinegar, which was my knee-jerk reaction. So I'm going to go soy sauce too, because I'm usually wrong.
Interesting.
Oh, don't copy me because I'm hardly right.
Yeah. I like that zig and I like that zag.
Okay. So I'm doing a little light scorekeeping here. Okay, question 2. Over 20 years ago, a movie was made that has some major tie-ins to the Marvel Cinematic Universe present day. In fact, we may see a new rendition of it soon in the MCU as they've left breadcrumbs throughout the current movies that we
Ew.
might see that. Yes, I fucked my words up.
You
Fuck
did
up.
say breadcrumbs.
Is it white?
We just
That's my favorite crowd.
Is it white when it's white, or is it like brown when it's wheat?
So they've teased we might see a revival of this franchise, but here's the question. I'm not telling you what the movie is. That's going to be a bonus point. But while this movie was well known, what's not well known is that this major actor was hired for the lead and then quit after 3 days of working on it, and it had to be recast. So what I'm asking here is, who was this person, this actor, that could have potentially had been in the MCU at some point? And then we'll ask, what is the movie? And again, I'm gonna read it again because I know it's worded a bit wonky, but it's fun.
Yeah, this is
Over
a tricky
20
one.
Over 20 years ago, a movie was made that has tie-ins to the current MCU. I believe it was a Marvel property, a comic. So we may see a new rendition of this soon. They've teased it. The movie's well known, but what's not well known is that initially this actor was cast as the lead and quit after 3 days. Who was it? Was it A, Chuck Norris, B, Burt Reynolds, C, Robin Williams, or D, Jerry Seinfeld? And then after we do this, you guys at any point can text me for a bonus point what you think this movie is.
Burt Reynolds came out of left field. Well,
Little
I-
cannonball run.
Yeah, God,
With Spider-Man.
This is tough, and just in the interest of not taking too much time to think on it, we didn't get a time frame here, did we?
20
20
years
years
ago.
ago.
80s.
Oh, you
Right.
did say 20 years ago.
Definitely in the 80s.
2000.
20 years ago, but
Definitely
it's
in the
definitely an
80s.
80s movie. It was the 80s, not 20. So it was like an 80s flick for sure.
80s?
Mhm.
80s.
Because that was
Sorry.
like 40 years ago.
I know. I'm having a real hard time mathing.
Okay.
It's okay.
Let me look it up. Now I'm confused.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the exact
If-
fucking 1986. This movie came out.
God, fuck it. Burt Reynolds, just
Burt Reynolds.
for the love of it. Turd. What was Norm Macdonald's?
Turd Ferguson.
Turd Ferguson. R.I.P. Norm Macdonald. By the way, how sad was that? Dude was fighting cancer for a decade. So sad.
Nobody knew.
Yeah, that's my guess. Oh, and I'm supposed to text you the movie. Fuck.
What
God.
do you think it might be? Yeah, I know it's a tough one, but it's fun. Everyone will be like, when I say it. Okay, John Mark.
I'm gonna go with Robin Williams.
I'll put you down as the first.
Yeah, I almost went there too.
Okay, Lyle.
Here's the deal. I want to go with Chuck Norris because in the 80s he was on fire. On fire. But
Okay.
Yeah, but now he's a god.
I do remember Robin Williams, I think, turning down a part. It's something in the news. I think I heard about it. So I'm going to go with Robin Williams.
Okay. Bats.
I think I want to do Robin Williams for my answer. And then I
Okay.
don't think I even know the movie, so I don't think I'll be trying to get any bonus points.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Fair
don't know
enough.
the movie
Wait.
either.
Is there any more clues on the movie we can have besides the 80s?
Okay, you may as well take a guess. You don't have to text because
Okay.
you're driving, but you can just shout it out. I think we've all had time to text. our
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. So if you don't have a guess, shout it out if you got it. Otherwise, wait for the text from you guys. I got Ron's. Ron got it correct. John Mark did not.
Oh, I got the movie correct.
You did. I'm gonna give it that bonus
Oh,
point for that
no.
too.
Yeah, I don't even have a clue. So
I
me.
don't know. I feel like you're going to point this out and it's going to be something we've talked about, and then I'll be disappointed in myself for a year to come.
All right. Question 3 is a listener submitted question. Huge thanks to our Ben, who's I believe being played for tonight.
Indeed. If I win for him, I can send him both of his prizes in one ship.
Wow. 2 Bens, 1 ship.
Wow. that'll totally happen.
Thank you, Ben, for sending this gem over to me, as always. Please feel free to send me wonky stories at christopher.bizarre@gmail.com. I really do appreciate them. This question is worth 2 points. Don't fuck around, guys. Lots on the line here. Lined. Yeah, I did that. Okay, hey, scrape. Hey, John Mark, can you mute?
Ooh, yeah,
Oh
what's
shit! I thought I did.
It's okay, I do
the
that all
bottom
the
of
time.
that yogurt cup.
A rookie police officer in Scotland recently made the news when she called for help because she believed a drone was following her in her car while she drove home from the police station one night. It was late at night. It was a little after midnight. She noticed the bright light in the sky that followed her every turn and seemed to match her speed as well. And it freaked her out, so she called for help, drove back to the police station where some officers met her, where they found her hiding from the item behind her hood she raised. Turns out what she believed to be a drone following her was simply this. A vision impairment caused by an oncoming migraine. B, a reflection of her dashboard in her glasses.
Refractions can be tricky.
Yeah.
In the same vein, C, her antenna ball reflecting in the moonlight.
We've all been
Or
there.
was it D, the planet Jupiter glowing bright in the night sky?
I'm tempted to go with the antennae ball for the charm of it, but I'm going to go with there's not a day that goes by that I don't see some phantom in my glass reflections. So that rings true.
Okay.
I'm going to go with B. I think that was B. Yeah.
John Mark.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the glasses reflection too.
It might be something that might be a glass herring for those of us bespeckled
Yeah.
folk.
I'm eager to get to Bridget on this one specifically as she works in eye care.
Sure.
I was gonna say this is a bat's herring, you little shit.
Might be a bat's herring.
Lyle?
I'm going to go with the antenna ball for my answer.
Nice. I'm glad someone chose it.
Okay.
All right, I'm going with the ocular migraine because I listen to patients talk about auras all the time, but it's probably set there intentionally because you know that my brain is going to immediately flock to that answer.
We'll see.
Migraines can make you see some crazy shit. I had one that looked like a fucking LSD flashback. Leah used to get them that looked like pinwheels. I guess that's a common one where they like the world looks like pinwheels in front of them. Crazy.
This will be a 6-question quiz, just so you guys know. We are on 4
epic.
here. Now, earlier this year, a man in Asia was arrested on the grounds of animal cruelty after it was discovered he had trained his dog to do this to anyone that came and knocked on his door. And I do have something to show you. I can photographic evidence, if you will, of what's going on here. It made the news. He was arrested because they felt maybe this was cruel to the dog. What was the dog trained to do when anyone knocked on the door? Was it A, it would answer the door with a full-length katana in its mouth?
Intimidating? Maybe. Confusing? Sure.
Entirely. Was it B, take a shit on their leg?
Intimidating? Maybe. Confusing? Sure.
Just like another trip to a concert at the Gorge for Ron. Is it C, body slam into them at full speed?
Okay.
Or was it D, drop a brick on them from the floor above?
Jesus.
Yeah, you can see why this guy might have been picked up.
Well, is it the brick and the shit kind of close together?
No, a literal brick.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, Ronster.
Well, I'm trying to think of what would be the most like animal cruelty. I gotta go with he just like barrels into him. I feel like
Body slam.
there might be a brown herring tempting me toward pooping on him. You train your dog to poop on a foe is a lovely concept, but I feel like the easiest play here, and one that could actually injure the dog, well, a few of them could, I suppose, would be the pile driving the guest, unwanted guest.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that too. I was tempted to go with the katana in the mouth, but that just doesn't. I don't know.
That's probably
it would be animal
exactly
cruelty
what it
because.
Yeah, you could slice his gums open. And...
Oh boy! So yeah, the body slam.
You're going with body slam? Okay.
I'm saying for 2 points, I'm going to go with katana.
Yeah,
Katana.
I think it might be katana.
All right, Bats.
I think it's body slam.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that dogs tend to do
They
that.
kinda do that
and
anyway.
It might be easy to train,
Yeah.
but like to shit on command whenever. What if multiple people come to the door?
I mean, we
you
always
gotta
have one in the
one
chain, right?
chain.
Spooky
That's one of our
party.
friends, Ronster. Okay. Okay, question 5. And I do have some great photos and videos of a lot of these to share with you. It's great.
Oh, good.
Last weekend, a teenage gamer, that goes by the handle Cake Assault won a huge esports video game tournament in Ohio. And these are getting pretty big. I don't know if you've ever watched any of these esports, but it's pretty big stuff. I'm not into it, but I think it's cool. Now, moments after defeating his opponent, he gets out of his chair and enthusiastically celebrates his win. But unfortunately for him, he also does this. Is it A, he knocks over his $10,000 gaming setup, effectively destroying it?
No.
Is it B, he lets out a fart that his microphone picks up?
I'm number...
Is it C, he punches his sound guy square in the face, accidentally, but still? Or is it D, he dislocates his own shoulder?
All right. Well, I think what makes the most watchable video would be he accidentally destroys his own equip. But I didn't go with the earlier brown herring, so now I'm tempted to go with this brown herring. I'm going to say that he let out an accidental celebratory fart.
Okay, put you down. B. Solid B.
Haven't we all?
Oh, indeed. John Mark.
I'm going to go with the equipment destroying action.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a viral video right there.
Viral.
Aren't they all, though? Okay, Lyle.
Maybe. I'm. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go with the fart. I was gonna go with something else, but that's fair.
Bats.
I think he destroys all his equipment.
Interesting. We're split here. This could be an interesting score.
It really is. I'll tell you that much. Hold on. Let me just add this to my scores up here. Perfect. Wow, this is fascinating. Okay. I either did a really good job or a really bad job. Question 6.
It's been a chaotic night. We'll accept that.
Okay, this is kind of a fun one. This video game holds the world record for worst video game dialogue. I know this is kind of obscure. Maybe take a guess. We'll see. What game holds the world record for worst video game dialogue? I think it's Guinness. Is it A, Destiny, the current one?
Destiny.
Is it B, Resident Evil?
Used to be my favorite.
Is it C, Elder Scrolls V, better known as Skyrim? Better.
Is it Skyrim? Morrowind. I'd say
I think
Skyrim.
5 is Skyrim,
Yeah,
right?
it's Skyrim.
Or is it D, 1991's Zero Wing, or better known as All Your Base Belong to Us? Again, Destiny, Resident Evil, Skyrim, or Zero Wing, a 1991 Super Nintendo game?
Oh, 1991. Well, I'm at a huge disadvantage here.
It's total guess. I get it.
Yeah. I'll go with Destiny. I feel like Resident Evil I've at least seen, and it just kind of seems like typical game.
Okay.
Weird, a lot of video game dialogue's pretty bad, though, in the earlier days.
John Mark?
I got to go with Zero Wing, baby.
Oh, All Your Base Belong to Us.
You are having a fly.
What?
Lyle?
Well, for me, it was Zero Wing. I haven't really heard of. I don't even know. Resident Evil had a lot of fuck ups in its dialogue, but it wasn't as bad as others. You know what I mean? Like, I want to say like Metal Gear Solid had some really bad ones too. Obviously didn't make the list. So what are we working with? We got Destiny, we got Resident Evil, we got Zero Wing, Skyrim. Oh, there we go.
Uh-huh.
Skyrim, I want to say out of a whole, that Skyrim's huge. So I'm going to go with it. There was a ton of fuck ups, but there were
Lots of glitches.
in
But
Skyrim. They were great. They were all, rememberable. They made the game good. They made the game great. So I'm going with Skyrim.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's bets.
So I played Destiny and Skyrim. I feel like All Your Base or Belong to Us is like beloved, like a cult following almost. So I'm gonna go with Resident Evil because I don't really know it, and thought that Skyrim was okay.
Yeah.
You have the wares if you have the coin.
Mm-hmm.
I once took an arrow to the knee.
This is fascinating.
Well, I'll over
right,
on that one.
Yeah.
Let's
The
go with
barrel
the
roll.
answers here and see what happened.
That's where barrel roll came from. The barrel roll.
Mm.
It was a bear that
Okay.
rolled instead of a
See, there's
Barrel.
a bear. And...
barrel roll.
Y'all done, buddy?
No.
Okay, doctors are warning people about another dangerous fad diet that's making its rounds again on the internet. A 39-year-old American woman ended up with permanent brain damage after she followed this crash diet that requires you to consume large amounts of soy sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, the attending physician that saw her learned that the woman had consumed a liter of soy
my
sauce earlier
God.
that day. 1 liter, and Lyle was Yeah, a 1 liter bottle contains approximately 66 grams of sodium, and it takes just 25 grams of sodium to be fatal.
Yeah.
You can die from a salt-related fatality.
Yeah, it's that sodium.
God.
Really bad for you.
Lyle and Bats got that correct right off the bat for some points. Point a pop.
Just so you know, if you ever are a soy fan, they do sell low sodium soy sauce. It's in your aisle there. You can find.
Yeah, still don't take a liter, but
No, I love soy sauce, but I can't cook with it. I tend to make a lot of I used to make a lot of like au jus sandwiches and stuff like that, and I can't cook with it anymore.
Okay, Lyle and Bats with the point of pop here. Question 2. I have it as over 20 years ago, but it was damn near 30 plus years ago. A movie was made that has some tie-ins to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're talking about Howard the Duck.
Oh no!
And
Classic.
Damn it.
classic.
yes, I knew she was going to do that. And it was Robin Williams who was. He worked for 3 days voice acting Howard the Duck before they just realized his ad-libbing and everything he liked to do wasn't working with this character at all, and he quit, and they had to recast it. So John, Mark, and Lyle got that correct for a point of pop,
Quackoo, quackoo.
which means
I
Lyle
think I
has.
said Robin Williams.
Oh, did you? Let me see.
I did.
I'm pretty sure I went with Burt Wren.
Yeah, I went with them.
Okay, Bats, you get a point there too. Okay, calm down. Always good.
I think secretly he just wants Ron to win.
Good job, Bats. Okay, point of pop. Ron gets a bonus point for getting Howard the Duck, though.
What they get, Howard?
Let's see. Yeah, I had you down here in the winner. I just didn't put you down next to the question. Apologies. Okay, so John, Mark, Lau, and Bats all got that correct for a point, and then Ron got that bonus point, so everyone got a point. Fascinating.
Nice.
How did you get the bonus point? That's impressive.
He knew the movie. Or
He said obscure, and I knew Howard the Duck came out about that time. Yeah.
Okay, question number 3 was our listener submitted question. Thanks again, Ben. A rookie police officer in Scotland was recently in the news because she called for help because she believed a drone was following her through the night sky in her car. It turned out, though, when her fellow officers came out to help her, they just pointed out that she was looking at Jupiter.
Oh, damn. It can be surprisingly bright.
It was so funny. They were like, "Ma'am, that's
I thought
the planet."
I thought that was the alien herring, because it's like that's like the classic excuse, like, oh, it's just Jupiter, swamp gas, fucking weather balloon.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, and the fact of the matter that she's visually impaired, yet she could see so good. You know, Jupiter's very far away. For me, reflecting on the Mothman, you know, like being a drone, like lights in the sky kind of following you.
Yeah. Okay, so Lyle and Bats in the lead with 2 points a pop. John, Mark, and Ronster with just 1 point, but there's lots of game left here.
Yeah, we'll
Nobody
see.
got the daily dub. Not the daily dub, excuse me, the listener submitted dub.
Mm-hmm.
Question 4. Earlier this year, a man in Asia was arrested on the grounds of animal cruelty after it was reported that he had trained his dog to do something wild. I'm going to go ahead. I have a photo. It'll be pretty easy to tell.
I feel like I'm about to see a katana in a dog's mouth or a brick, and I'm sad.
I'm thinking the katana, too. Bats was right there. It is a brick. Oh, it's a big brick. Yeah, that's not good for a dog.
No.
Or whoever's head that falls on.
Oh, shit.
That's
why
a
I just...
cinder block.
Oh shit! I even saw this story, but it just didn't register as like that's what was going on there.
Crazy.
This is why pit bulls and a lot of these bigger, scary, quote unquote, breeds get such a bad rap, is because so many of the people that want them are dipshits like this. They want a tough, crazy, scary dog, and they train them to be even worse than they are by nature. Well, let me rephrase, meaner than they are by nature.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, okay. Nobody got that. 2 whiffs in a row. Man.
Okay, well,
Okay.
well, this is weird. This is weird.
Question. This is weird. Last weekend, a teenage gamer that goes by the handle Cake Salt. I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds wrong. He won a huge
I think I
esports
pee on those
video
in a urinal.
game. Oh, no. Cake Salt. That's what you call it. That's the act of doing. That's what you do. Take salt. He won a video game tournament, an esports tournament in Ohio, and moments after defeating his opponent, he gets up out of his chair and celebrates enthusiastically. Unfortunately, something else happened too. I've got the video to prove it. It's coming over to you momentarily.
Sure hope it's a fart. Okay, let's give a little play here.
Hear Ron saying, "I sure hope it's a fart" over and over again.
Okay, he's celebrating. And did I miss it? Oh, he's jumping up and down.
Looks like he dislocated his shoulder.
Oh, yeah, he is holding his arm. It's hard to see the injury. Let me watch it a third time here.
I think he farted too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just you flung it around. Well, live and learn, huh? Yeah.
Nobody got that right either. Bam.
Damn.
Okay.
Oof.
Lastly, question
Stingy
6.
I'm sure if you asked him politely, he'd probably tell you that he farted. Awesome.
And then he falls into it.
Exactly.
It was E, all the above.
Yeah.
Okay, lastly,
well,
question.
looks like we're out of it, Ben. Sorry.
Lastly. Wow.
Lashley.
Thank God I'm almost done here.
Mm-hmm.
Question 6. This video game holds a world record for worst video game dialogue. And we were talking about Resident Evil, which Bats fucking guessed and got correct. And I have a snippet of one example of why this earned worst video game dialogue. Here's a direct quote from the game. Jill, here's a lockpick. It might come in handy if you are, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Good shit. That's
Oh,
like
I was
gonna say,
modern.
does this have to do with the master of unlocking? Because that was the first thing that popped in my head. But I was like, is that really like, was the whole game that bad? I don't remember it being that bad, but Zero Wing was definitely fucking bad. But that was probably just because of translation.
Indeed. So I don't know how to break this to you guys, but Bridget beat you at your own game tonight. Bats
Hey,
is going to win the championship. And there
that's the
was
excitement of playing along.
1,000% no collusion. I did not give her any. I didn't seed her. She normally does really bad. No Bats.
I believe. I trust. I completely trust.
Bats.
Yeah.
Are you
I
there?
feel like none of us performed super well, so that's not like we whiffed it on 2 questions.
Hey, if you won 1 to 0 to 0 to 0, you still won, and you get a prize because this here's the championship.
Just
So
think of
that's
it like
worth
soccer,
Woo-hoo!
right?
It is a lot like soccer many times. We'll call it a draw.
I was just thinking that because I don't know a lot about soccer, but I've been watching a lot of Ted Lasso.
So good. Well, congratulations, Bats.
Not typically high-scoring games.
I know that I do know that Bats is very fond of the Ronsters art, so I'm not sure what your prize was intended, but I'm sure she's going to be very excited to get whatever you put in a coffee can and send her away.
I'm sure she will, and it is all based, or all of my stuff's going to be based somehow on my art. But I've got a few options. I'll let her choose from a few things, but all of it Ron art centric. So congrats, Bats. You were our
I am
first.
super excited.
Our first How Bizarre Championship champion.
That's great. And
Yes,
I have
happy
heard
time.
from a few people that want to come in and do some, like I know Katie Sergiev wants to come on in and play for herself because nobody else can seem to win for her. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's how we get you on.
Bats, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're driving. We're gonna review Lyle's album next. So enjoy the rest of your drive home and congratulations.
Absolutely. Night, Bats.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Drive safe. Okay. Well, I am excited to talk about a little mother love bone. And should I start us off here?
Well, here's my request. I have to put my kid to bed. So can I share my thoughts and then I'm going to switch to my phone and listen in and chime in when I can on my phone?
Yeah, go for it.
So if you don't mind, I'm so sorry. It's been
No,
crazy.
no.
Okay. Lyle, let's talk about mother fucking love bone. Now, I saved this listen for a road trip. I went to the ocean this last week. I went down to Oregon. It was a 4-hour drive. And I had the car to myself on the way back. And the weather was beautiful. And I was like, it's time. I put this album on, and it's perfect fucking cruising music, first off. Right? I mean,
Oh yeah. That and
It's great.
Candlebox, pretty good cruising music too. Yeah.
But this album in particular was a great experience for driving. All I could think about the entire time I listened to it 2 times, front to back.
Back to front.
One trip, back to front.
Front to back.
All I could think about was what a shame it was this guy died.
Right.
Before he got famous. And where would he have gone? Because it was great. It reminded me, and I think it was probably that period. It reminded me, between Guns N' Roses and Pearl Jam, somewhere right in the middle, they had that sound, for both bands to me, and I really thought that was cool.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people didn't really know, and I didn't even know about it at the time, but before they were to break out, you got to remember, they didn't even really break out all the way. This is their very first album. There are already documentaries made about it before they even, because everybody knew they were going to explode.
Yeah.
So
they were really the buzz.
That's crazy. It's just nuts. And there's so much talent through and through. The drumming really stood out to me. I thought the drummer was phenomenal. It was really fun to listen to. I liked it quite a bit. I don't have many more thoughts on it. I apologize, but I thought it was fun.
Well, as Lyle pointed out, me and this album go, way back, and like most people, and like you just set up, I hadn't heard the Mother Love Bone album until Pearl Jam was already huge, and I was kind of balls deep into that Pearl Jam album, the first one, 10. I was obsessed with it to some degree, but in a funny way, when I did hear Mother Love Bone, I actually heard Pearl Jam in a bit of a new light, and I appreciated them even more because I did also pick up the similarities. 2 very different sounding bands, but when you do pick up on a lot of, it's weird to say, but there's a sort of funk and a groove to Mother Love Bone that's very clear in Mother Love Bone. It's more subtle in Pearl Jam, but it like the from what is it, Even Flow.
Yeah,
that's a straight out Mother Love Bone riff, and there's tons of stuff like that sound like Mother Love Bone, and it makes sense because Stone and Jeff were such a driving force in both bands. But so this album, there's a lot of music to break down here because it's a long album. It's a collection of basically everything they'd done, the bulk of everything they had done, well over an hour of tunes. And I think it's amazing how few of these tracks fade into what I would call filler territory. There are a few here and there, but so much like with the Face to Face album that we talked about, when you think that one of these songs might be losing your interest a bit, there's some hook or a bridge or a harmony that pulls you back in, and that might be the biggest. I mean, it's hard to keep comparing to Pearl Jam, but that's a big difference between the two, because Mother, with Pearl Jam, especially the early ones that I know of, they're very little harmony, almost no harmonies, almost no backing vocals at all in that early Pearl Jam stuff. But with Mother Love Bone, there's all these beautiful explosions of multi-layered vocal parts and harmonies and true choruses. He does a lot of that doubling on the vocals and some of the echoing of the lyrics in the background. You could tell that Andrew had a lot of fun playing with that. That was his instrument, and he played it like an instrument. He used it for all it's worth. I do like how the album starts off with Shangri-La for thematic reasons, but for me, it really starts with track 2, which is Stardog Champion, one of my favorite Mother Love Bone songs, and that might have been even one that I put on that mixtape. I can't remember, it's been so long ago, but then those next 3 songs, and then it ends with that eerie Bone China. I love that fucking song. And a couple songs down the road, you get to Man of Golden Words, which I think is another really standout track. And of course, that includes the famous phrase, "Feel like I've been living in the temple of the dog," which is, of course, where that band got its name. Yeah, Come Bite the Apple.
And I swear I thought that was going to be, I thought that for sure Temple of the Dog was going to be his guest. And I thought that time was
it sounds like it almost was, yeah.
It was close.
And Stargazer's another fucking. The whole album is pretty damn solid, and all culminating with, to me, the perfect album closer, which is Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns. And there is a standalone version that just has Crown of Thorns on it, and the reason they put that in there, from what I remember, is that is how it appeared on the Apple release. But at some point, they decided to stitch in the Chloe Dancer thing that fit as an intro to Crown of Thorns. But since Chloe Dancer wasn't really a full song, it never was released by itself, unlike Crown of Thorns. It only existed as an intro to Crown of Thorns. And apparently, Chloe Dancer was about Andrew's girlfriend trying out being a stripper. They're trying to figure out ways of making money while Andrew was basically chasing his rock and roll dreams. They had to pay the bills. So she tried stripping, but she hated it so much that she quit like an hour into it.
Yeah.
And then the reason it pairs so well with Crown of Thorns is because that's about their breakup, as Andrew was sort of falling more into that rock star lifestyle and including more frequent heroin use, which of course is ultimately what took his life. So it's a pretty heavy combination of those tracks. And I can't think of a more beautiful way to end the album than with a song that contains the line, "A dream like this must die," because that sort of encapsulates everything about Mother Love Bone. At the same time, the dream didn't die. It's like, think about all the music, like an entire genre of music was born out of that scene that he helped create. So there's a lot of heaviness and poignancy to the band and to these songs that I think really resonate, especially with him having died before they ever really saw success and found their way to the masses. But I was thinking, just like Chris said, if these guys had been in L.A. just a few years earlier instead of Seattle, we wouldn't really associate them with grunge at all. They'd just be, I think they would have been a part of the Sunset Strip, because they really do have a lot in common with some of those bands, like especially Faster Pussycat. And when I was listening back to it, I was like, hey, it never really occurred to me now that sort of similar vocals. Andrew Wood, I think, is light years ahead of, was it not Janie Lane, Tammy Down? Was that the singer for Faster Pussycat? But sort of similar style. Tie Me Down. That makes more sense. And yeah, definitely some of the earlier Guns N' Roses stuff. They could have, and I think they would have had huge success even there in that sort of later glam metal world of the Sunset Strip. But anyway, yeah, highly recommended. It's an important album for us local folks. It's an important album for the history of grunge, but just in the pantheon of rock history, it's a fucking monument. Whether you dig the grooves of the music or not, it's an important album, and you should definitely give it a spin at least once. Good pick.
Yeah, I didn't even know, but he's buried in Bremerton. Has his memorial.
Andrew Wood is? I didn't know that.
He's got his memorial there. Yeah.
Shit, Chris, you got to go visit Andy Wood?
Yeah, Bremerton. He's in
look it up. Go take a picture. I'll take one of those tombstone rubbings for you, Lyle, and then I'll give it a good rub.
I should wait until we come visit, and we can all go hang out down there and get a photo together. I'd love to experience seeing Andy Wood's grave. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I didn't know that.
It's like a cremation plate. It's like a 12 by 12 or whatever.
Interesting. Well, John Mark, I'm curious what you thought about Mother Love Bone.
I hate to be the lone dissenter here, but
I expect you to be.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'm going to say that I fully appreciate the musicianship and the place in history that this album belongs in, and it's a good album. The songwriting's great, the performances are all great, the production is great, but it's just not for me. I just have never been into I've heard the songs that you typically would hear from this band, like on the radio, and people played, and I'm sure I've heard it played at like parties and stuff in the past and stuff like that. But it just never it's a style of music that just doesn't grab me, and I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's just like your individual makeup determines what really gets the hair standing on the back of your neck, and you know what I mean. It's just like,
well, it's interesting because one band that I think is often cited as influence or maybe some similarities. Two of them I hear all the time, Aerosmith and the Rolling Stones. And I don't know how you feel about Aerosmith, but I know how you feel about the Rolling Stones. So that kind of computes. Like it just doesn't grab you in maybe a similar way.
Maybe.
Bluesy,
I mean,
groovy, sort of rock.
Well,
straight up
see,
rock.
like I definitely hear that funk in there,
Yeah.
and it's like, to me, they're more of like sort of like they feel like more like a party rock band, right? Like it's like,
Yes.
does that make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's kind of how they work.
This is
really.
about like being out at the Central and like having a good time, and
Yeah.
just like it's all about just like rock and roll, for its own sake, sort of.
Mhm.
God damn, what? Okay, so we got people speeding by, but I don't. But like I said, there's like some of the grooves and some of the like the guitar. There's some guitar licks that just like, oh, that's some cool shit that they did there. And the stuff that he does with his vocals, he's an amazing vocalist. But I have to say, like, I just really, I really hate when people use like kids choirs.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple songs that do
like,
that.
I was just,
Na, 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 na,
yeah.
na,
Well, I was thinking more of
na.
Red Hot Chili Peppers did one too, like Under the Bridge.
and I'm just,
Yeah.
and so,
Red Hot Chili
and
Peppers
and I
similarities,
can
too.
see obviously where like their place in the Seattle scene helped develop what people, like in more of the popular sense associate with grunge, like, particularly like Pearl Jam, obviously. But Pearl Jam also a band that I'm not into.
Yeah.
And so like so when I was listening to this again today, and then I had to go like, okay, so there's Seattle music scene was so diverse and broad and weird.
Yeah, it was.
And then the stuff that I was like, well, what was I really into around this time that would have been local stuff? And the first thing that came to my mind was The Accused, which is about as far as the polar opposite as you could get from what
Yeah.
Mother Love Bone was doing at the same time.
Splatter rock.
Yeah.
That's good shit.
But so ultimately not for me, but like I do appreciate the artistry and the musicianship and the talent that went into this, and what ultimately the legacy that obviously, because we wouldn't be talking about it now, and we wouldn't have, I don't think that like obviously Pearl Jam wouldn't be here if it weren't for Mother Love Bone,
Right.
And to even some extent like Alice in Chains, or kind of
Stone
probably
Temple
like
Pilots,
germinating around the same time.
Mhm.
But it's just so interesting when you think about all the different like well-known bands from Seattle that started in like the late, like the sort of mid to late 80s, how different they all are in some respects, and how like you can select like Mudhoney, definitely more coming from the punk rock sort of vein, and same with Nirvana. Soundgarden is kind of like a weird kind of in the middle thing, because they definitely were influenced by some more classic rock and things like that, and they definitely have like
A lot of it was
some
tuning.
elements that were similar to like Mother Love Bone and Pearl Jam, but like in the early days of Soundgarden, it was a little bit raw, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because they do refer to it, and they did refer to it as the Seattle sound, even though it was that eclectic. But I think that one thing a lot of those bands had in common was whatever they were mixing it with metal to some degree, like some sort, even if it was, whether it was like simple AC/DC bluesy metal or early Judas Priest metal, or more complex stuff, more sludgy, Sabbathy.
A little distortion.
Like some of them mixed punk and metal, some of them mixed glam and metal, some of them mixed funk and metal, and there was always an element of like this sort of dirgy. That's why I always thought, however you felt about the word grunge, it had a staying power, because it just kind of seemed a bit correct. And Seattle, was a very wet, moldy, mossy place. Yeah. So stuff was grungy, stuff was rusty and misty and cold. And
well, something that you can't deny is that basically a lot of those bands like Soundgarden and stuff like that, they were on the new because a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them, just did a whole lot of different tuning. You know what I mean? Like Soundgarden's
D.
Drop
Drop
D,
D.
you know, outshines Drop D. 4th of July is actually tuned in C. You know, it's like, how would you, you know, because I've used to play it, you know, it's like, it's a deep dun 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 dun, you know, and it's and in that time period, what you're talking about in that time period is you got bands like Metallica, you got bands like Iron Maiden, and they're all strictly tuned to E. You know what I mean? And you get to a certain point and being creative. And there's only so much you could do in E and E flat. You know what I mean? You have to experiment, and that's where when everybody started going. Metallica did it on one album. It was Master of Puppets when they dropped down to D once. They did one song. It was the not Disposable Heroes, the Sea Monster song. No, the Sea Monster.
The Sea Monster one was on.
But
the thing they should not be. Yeah.
If you look at any kind of metal back then, in that time period, like in 1989 or 86, sorry, there's hardly anybody that did Drop D. There, you know, it's like, what's that? Yeah. So that's where it really experiments. I think more of the Seattle sound, because like Pearl Jam, they did that too. They experimented with different sounds. Same, you know, like Soundgarden. They did the same thing. They experimented with different types of sounds, and that's what brought us, you know, to that you know, Seattle sound. So
yeah, but again, very
like
Stone
Temple Pilots.
Even in the earlier
California
days, you know, you listen to like fucking Loud Love. The song Loud Love sounds nothing like Jesus Christ Pose. Those are two albums apart. And Jesus Christ Pose is one of the fucking heaviest, scariest sounding songs on planet Earth.
Dude.
Jesus, remember seeing that shit live?
Chris
just went into the lightning
wail.
storms over the band. It was just like,
yeah.
I got fucking goosebumps just thinking about it.
One of my favorite.
This song's scary. Scary sounding.
One of my favorite memories was Jesus Christ Pose. It was down at the Gorge, and yeah, obviously Chris was playing. And it was around dusk, you know, so you could still see the crowd, and you still see the stage and stuff. And here's fucking old 18-year-old me, fucking in the second row, and I'm towering over everybody because I'm like 6'3", and about 100 pounds wet. And he started singing the Jesus Christ Pose, you know, and your Jesus Christ. And I started to do the whole cross thing with my arms. You know, like I was pinned up on a cross, and I was headbanging, giving the fucking, you know, the devil horns and stuff like that. And I was looking right at him, and he actually started to mimic me. He did the same thing. He put his arms out like a cross and started. I was like, no fucking way, dude. This is awesome.
I showed him that. He's going next.
I taught him those moves. It was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we should get on out of here. But hell of a pick, and yeah, very important album. And I was happily caught off guard by it, and yet it all made sense when you brought it. So give Mother Love Bone a shot. We are talking about the self-titled album, which gives you, if not, I think there may be some other songs out there that weren't on that, but that's the bulk of it. That's definitely going to give you everything you want to hear, if not everything in general. Good shit. All right, y'all. Tune in next week. And don't forget to send us a recording or an email of what you would like to bring to the show, that you would like us all to listen to, an album that changed your life. We will take all of them into consideration and bring it on next week and give it a listen.
9/11.
9/11, other than that. All right, y'all. Have a good week.
Night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.
Chris is rocking the baby. All right, night.
Bye.
Maybe.